Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Free TFOS, where I take old stories I've narrated and update into modern audio standards. This particular story is called Gone in a Flash, written by Mr. Jake the Impaler. There is always a sense of excitement when a new species arrives in the galactic scene. For most of the older species, this excitement is mostly limited to possible trade routes and an increased workforce. But for those who still see the luster of new faces, it is time of celebration and hope. Every race tends to have some defining trait or quirk or talent. It is widely believed that in order to become a dominant species on your homeworld and achieve spaceflight, three things are required. Natural resources, obviously, intelligence, and an X factor. Now this X factor can be one of a billion things. It can be as exciting as the Geth and their ability to manipulate electromagnetic waves, or as boring as the gelatinous Broxtias and their obsession with perfect comfort. While most appreciate the fantastic upgrades to their chairs, it is boring and quite frankly unnerving. When humans first arrived, their search for their X-Factor began, but between the various experts in the galactic community and their own people, we just couldn't nail it down. For a while, it was whispered that their X-Factor was having no X-Factor. They were not average in most ways. It was just that in obvious aspects of life, and some not so obvious, there were always someone more extreme than them. Violent history surpassed by the Chitauri, who are currently on their 5th civil war of the galactic year. The insanity of their mad engineering surpassed by the Kaina, who have spent several years attempting to build a spaceship with no hull. After the 17th failure, many stopped sending their condolences. But the Quetzal could survive far, far worse. Maybe domestication and their obsession with adopting and riding animals, they came close. But unfortunately, the Gath, this species caused much debate in the field of convergent evolution and linguistics, have the ability to understand and communicate with nearly any animal with enough time. They have several interesting customs that will not be discussed at this time. For many years, the debate stalled and spirals, many suspecting there was something so simple and boring we either already had it or wouldn't care about it. Until one year, the Kanya managed to get sponsored by an unknown party to develop a new weapon. We are unsure of its intended purpose or design, but the catastrophic failure caused a breakdown in their system. A black hole began to swirl in the space near their homeworld. Their star was being stripped bare. Planets devoured whole. Some survived, but it was a blow to the psyche of the community as a whole. Nearly every species, including some of the very old ones, expressed concerns over this event. The black hole spawned was growing irregularly and behaving oddly. The outermost planet of the system was in a wobbly orbit. The black hole grew and shrank, expelling blasts of energy at random intervals. It matched none of the agreed laws of the universe. Probes and research teams were dispatched to investigate and diagnose this thing that ignored the laws of physics. It wasn't long after that a discovery was made. The device that spawned the black hole was still in existence. A new wave of hope spread that was quickly killed. The device was stationary and seemingly invulnerable to the event horizon of the black hole passing over it as it expanded and shrunk, like a rock standing stubbornly against the waves. It was impossible to know how long it would be even visible once a window opened. Weapons were tried, but even complicated lasers found themselves bent and distorted away from the device. Physical weapons, large enough to ignore the pull of the black hole long enough, were torn apart before they could impact properly. Small projectiles could be fired by the electromagnetic waves that came off the black hole. It seemed hope was lost. The task was impossible. Until someone made a mistake of telling the wrong group of humans. The excitement that surged through their species and the drive into the work was a spectacle to behold. They borrowed, stole, recreated, and adapted technology from several other species. They even tried their hand at a ship with no hull. The community watched in disbelief. And we thought this had to be their X-Factor. Just like the black hole, they hated the idea of being told to obey the laws of the universe. When their ship was finally finished and a pilot selected, the reaction of the various species in the galaxy were mixed. They had managed to build a ship with no hull, the atmosphere and mechanics contained within layers of force fields. The temperature within was considered inhospitable to most races, including the humans. The pilot rigged into the setup that made the youngsters who saw it scream. He was provided counseling and further viewing was banned on their world. When the day came, the ship launched. The humans had always had a fascination with the engines of other species. We never quite understood as they asked for details on how far they could be pushed. We had never taken into account the engines on their ships. With the luxury of light speed, space stations, and other wonders, we had mostly given up having powerful engines. Such a thing was just excess. More materials used and more heat to deal with. We thought the humans would be somber, watching their champion as he emerged from the in-between space of light speed. Instead, they all watched in anticipation as their ship ran, waiting for its window. The starting line was 3 light seconds from the event horizon. We did not understand the ship's name yet, but we would soon. Sir Jaeger started up with a flare of plasma and began to tear through space. The humans began to cheer as he shot through space. Now, there were many reasons why lightspeed is a wonder, the closest we've gotten to magic. Rapid acceleration does many things to a body and to the hull of a ship. But the humans knew this as sure as we did. But they were insane enough to do it anyways. The force fields mitigated the hull damage. The body would still be destroyed, and we wept for the human in the chair. But the humans were insane enough and hardy enough to devise a system that kept him alive in the process. By a combination of the Bronze-Diax technology, anti-grav and other combinations combined with their own natural hardiness and some cybernetic augmentations, the man survived. There was some blood spray, and the man would likely not survive long after the mission was over, if he survived at all. But it seemed they did not care. The ship swiftly broke all known records for speeds achieved by any manned craft, as well as many by unmanned craft. It tore through space, any debris it struck being flung violently into deep space. The view provided by nearby ships and research stations cut in and out of cameras were changed frantically. The galaxy watched in shock, awe, and horror. The galaxy was holding its breath except for one small corner. The humans were yelling and cheering, urging their champion on. On the edge of their seats, the galaxy watched this man spit in the face of the laws of the universe. As he neared it, the machine began to emerge from the event horizon. The coordinates locked in, and the ship shot towards it. The force fields began to distort as he drew closer and closer. But he held strong. The machinery began to snap, sparks flying in the air, arcs of electricity flying amongst the sparks of fire, field distorting around him. The human sent his final message back to us. "My name is Yuri Gagarin, and I am the fastest man alive." The ship slammed into the device, and an explosion ripped through the system as the black hole destabilized, releasing the energy of the star with a large wave. The rest of the galaxy joined humanity in their celebrations, astounded by what they had just witnessed. The Ganya released a prepared statement, swearing loyalty and fealty to the human race. It was not until weeks later, during a briefing into the entire plan the humans had enacted, amnesty was granted for most of the acts of thievery, when we finally were able to nail down the X factor they possessed. The prospective pilot was being interviewed and was asked to explain the reason he would give his life for the cause. He simply looked into the camera and smiled. "I feel it. The same thing that drove all the other idiots like me in history. This is the reason I became a pilot. The hunger is in my soul, and I need this. I feel the need for speed." We had not understood the aspects of humanity properly, and it all began to click. From their beginning, the humans had domesticated horses and other animals so they could ride them, not for the sake of strategy or companionship, but to be faster. We thought their development of unstable combustion engines and nuclear fission was their insanity manifesting. We thought their achievement of spaceflight was a demonstration of their intellect. But finally, the phrase translated properly: the space race. The humans did not carry out this mission to save the Kanye. That was just an added benefit and a good way to get funding. The humans did not do this to prove wrong those who dared to tell them they couldn't. They just made it more fun. The humans did not do this to be innovative and create new elements in interspecies trade and collaboration. That was just an unintended side effect. The humans had fought the laws of the universe, proved the galaxy wrong, and developed this technology for one simple reason. They wanted to go faster. End of story. I would just like to thank the T5 supporters: Bushmaster 117, Casper Arnholtz, Draxzoon WRE, Elijah Silvercross, Gray, John Carrington, and Severin Cerberus. Thank you very much.